You might think that finding life on Mars would be the greatest discovery of all time, but what if you found out that NASA destroyed it by accident? A scientist reveals the shocking truth behind the Mars Viking experiments. We also have a surprise colony plan at the end, and no, not on Mars or the Moon. Imagine you're a NASA scientist who just landed a probe on a new planet, hoping to find signs of life. You run some experiments on the soil samples and you get some weird results. You think, maybe there's something alive in there. But then you decide to add some water and nutrients to the samples just to be sure. And then you realize you've just flooded the poor microbes to death. Oops. That's basically what Dirk Schulze-Makuch, an astrobiologist, claims happened. According to him, NASA may have accidentally destroyed some tiny, dry-resistant life forms that were hiding inside Martian rocks in 1976. These life forms are similar to some microbes that live on Earth and can survive in extreme conditions. The scientist calls this a suggestion that some people surely will find provocative, which is like saying that water is wet. Of course, this is not the first time that someone has claimed to find evidence of life on Mars. In fact, it seems like every other week there's a new headline about some alien fossil, worm, or face on the dusty planet. But how credible are these claims? How do other experts in the field react to them? Well, let's just say that they're not exactly jumping for joy. A lot of scientists think that he's making a mountain out of a molehill. They think that the Viking results are not so mysterious and confusing as he and others make them out to be. They're saying there's a simpler and more logical explanation for the gases and organic compounds that the experiments detected. So for them, there is no evidence for life on Mars, at least not the kind that he imagines. But are they right? Well, maybe he was just trying to get some attention and funding for his research. Or maybe he's secretly working for the Martians and trying to cover up their existence. Yeah, that sounds totally reasonable. Now let's move on to epic details of these mysterious Viking experiments that tried to find life on Mars. The Viking landers were two spacecrafts that landed on Mars in 1976. They were named Viking 1 and Viking 2. Because why bother with creative names when you can just use numbers? They had some experiments on board that looked for life on Mars. So what happened? Did they find life? Well, one of the experiments picked up some specks of chlorinated organic compounds, but the mission scientists thought they were just dirt from the cleaning products they used on Earth. Big mistake. Turns out those organic compounds were actually Martian natives, as later landers and rovers confirmed. However, the gas exchange experiment, which was the most important experiment of all, was a big fat zero. So this led most scientists to eventually conclude that the Viking experiments did not detect any Martian life. Yeah, no life, no party, no Nobel Prize. But little did they know, they might have just killed any potential life forms in their soil samples by adding too much water and heat. The microbes were not shy or sleepy, they were hiding in salty rocks that protected them from the harsh conditions on Mars. But when the Viking landers added water and nutrients to their soil samples, they flooded and poisoned the microbes. And when they heated up their soil samples, they literally cooked and burned them. Mr. Schulze-Makuch pointed out that these microbes are similar to some extreme life forms on Earth that can survive in very dry environments. And if these microbes also had hydrogen peroxide in their cells, it would help them to absorb more water and also explain some of the gases detected by the Viking experiment. He suggested that adding water to these microbes was like stranding humans in the middle of an ocean. Both need water to survive, but in the wrong concentrations, it can be deadly to them. And yes, we have some proof for that. In 2018, a study showed that heavy rains in the Atacama Desert killed up to 85% of the native microbes that couldn't adapt to wetter conditions. So adding water to the Martian soil samples may have been like throwing humans into the ocean. But wait, there's more. This is not the only time that some scientists have accused NASA of killing Martian microbes. Again, in 2018, another team of researchers came up with a different theory. They said that when the Viking landers heated up the soil samples, they triggered a chemical reaction that fried any living things in them. This group claims that this could also explain some of the strange results from the experiments. Well, what can I say, the Viking experiments are confusing, and they still baffle some scientists today. Meanwhile, it seems like we've already harmed the life on another planet before we've even set foot there, even if the damage is microscopic. Now imagine the impact on macroscopic life if we ever find it. But hey, why do we want to find life on Mars so much? Well, since we've done such a great job of taking care of our own planet, we might as well start looking for a new one. And it seems like Mars is our backup plan, so exploring and learning everything about it makes sense before we pack our bags and move there. But hang on, living on Mars is not as cool as it sounds. Actually, it's a disaster, and wanting to abandon this planet for reasons like diseases or overpopulation is not logical at all, because the cost and danger level are too high. But what can we do? Well, we can move on to the deep ocean, where 3D movement is possible, just like in space. Also, the deep ocean is close to the core of the Earth, which is a natural heat source, like a mini sun. And if you have a sun and water in one place, you can colonize it. Actually, this is a large and interesting topic that I think deserves its own video. But it seems like NASA and SpaceX don't care about my brilliant idea. So they're still planning to go to Mars. If you want to see how they're going to waste their time and money, click here to watch this interesting video, and thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified for future videos. These things might sound repetitive, but they're very important for the growth of the channel. Thank you again, see you next time.